Have you ever worked at a big company and just felt stuck? Like you have all this talent, all these resources, but getting even the simplest thing done feels like you're moving through molasses? Well, today we're going to unpack that exact feeling. It's a super frustrating question, right? Sometimes it really feels like these huge organizations are built to slow you down. But what if I told you that slowness, that friction, is actually a feature, not a bug? Let's get into it. Okay, so first up, we need to talk about something called the efficiency paradox. This is really the heart of the conflict between a small, nimble team and a giant, structured corporation. And here's the fundamental trade-off laid out plain and simple. Over on the left, you've got your classic 10-person startup. They are unbelievably efficient, they can ship code in a day, change direction on a whim, but there's not a lot of formal control. And then on the right, you've got the 10,000-person behemoth. It seems way less efficient per person, right? But what it has is a massive amount of control and predictability. The big question is, why would anyone choose the path on the right? Well, the answer comes down to one incredibly powerful concept, this constant, unending quest for something called legibility, which is just a fancy way of saying the drive to make all work something you can see and measure. So what exactly is legibility? Think of it as the company's attempt to build a perfect map of everything that's happening inside of it. You know, just like an old king wanted to map his entire kingdom to count every farm and every person, a modern company uses tools like Jira, OKRs, and endless planning meetings to make every single project and every minute of your time legible to management. And here is the perfect and kind of crazy example of this paradox in action. Back in 19th century Germany, they looked at these messy, chaotic natural forests and decided to make them more efficient. So they chopped them down and planted neat, orderly rows of a single type of tree. It was perfectly legible. The problem? The new efficient forests produced less wood and were constantly getting sick. The obsessive quest for legibility completely killed the real natural efficiency of the system. Which of course brings us to the billion-dollar question. If making work totally legible can actually make it less efficient, why in the world are big companies so obsessed with it? Well, because the benefits are just too huge to pass up. When everything is legible, you can plan your business quarters in advance. You can give clients and executives the predictability they crave. And, this is the big one, you can land those massive multi-million-dollar, multi-year enterprise deals that a scrappy little startup, for all its speed, just can't promise. But, that is only half of the story. Because now we have to talk about the hidden world, the unseen engine, the world of illegibility, which is where most of the fast, important work actually happens. Okay, so let's look at the official legible world. You want to make a simple one-line code change. First, it has to be a product idea, then it goes into planning, then architects have to review it, then a VP assigns it, then it goes into a backlog, then it gets estimated, and then maybe months later it gets assigned in a sprint. It's perfectly trackable, but it is painfully slow. Now, contrast that with the illegible world. An engineer on one team just pings an engineer on another team. Hey, can you help me out with this? The change is made. In minutes. No tickets, no meetings, no process. This kind of thing happens thousands of times a day in every big company on the planet. That is illegibility. It's the world of favors, of back channels, of knowing who to ask. It's built on trust and human relationships. And honestly, it's the secret, untrackable work that keeps the entire formal, legible system from just grinding to a complete halt. So we've got these two totally opposite worlds, right? The slow, formal, legible world and the fast, informal, illegible one. They seem like they're at war with each other. But what if I told you they're both actually chasing the exact same goal? It all comes down to this one simple idea. Everything that happens inside a company is a service. And a service is just anything that makes a stakeholder, whether that's an executive, a client, or your teammate sitting next to you, feel better off. That's it. That's the goal of all work. So once you start thinking that way, it all clicks into place. Legibility and illegibility aren't good guys versus bad guys. They're just two different strategies for making two very different groups of people feel better off. And here it is. This is the whole thing in a nutshell. The strategy of legibility, all those processes, all those Jira tickets, that is a service for executives and big enterprise clients. It makes them feel better off by giving them a sense of control and predictability. And the strategy of illegibility, the favors, the back channels, that's a service for other engineers and teammates. It makes them feel better off by giving them the speed and efficiency they need to actually build things. Both are absolutely essential to the company's survival. So the real key here isn't to try and get rid of one world or the other. No, the true art of making a big organization actually work is learning how to manage the constant and, let's be honest, awkward tension between the two. And you see companies do this all the time. On one hand, you have sanctioned illegibility. This is when there's a crisis and management creates a special tiger team or strike team and basically tells them, forget the rules, just fix this. But most of the time, we're living in the world of unsanctioned illegibility. That's the daily network of favors and back channels that we all use to just get our jobs done. So the big takeaway here is that being effective in a large company isn't about just following the rules, and it's not about breaking them either. It's about understanding that both of these worlds, the legible and the illegible, exist for a reason, and learning how to navigate that space between them. That is the real superpower. And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. Where does the most value in a company actually come from? Is it in the legible world of plans and tickets that you can neatly measure and put on a PowerPoint slide? Or is it in the hidden, illegible world of favors, trust, and relationships that you can't measure at all? Something to think about.